At 30 years old, I was married to my brave warrior husband, Mongi. He often left our home to protect our land from danger. Even though we loved each other deeply, his duties meant I spent many days and nights alone in our small mud hut. One day the village elders called for Mongi. They needed him to lead a group of brave warriors to defend our land from an enemy tribe. The air felt tense as the villagers gathered to watch Mongi prepare for his journey. My heart felt heavy with worry. I could see the determination in his eyes, but I also knew the danger he faced. As he tightened the straps of his shield and adjusted his spear, I took his hand. "Please return to me safely," I whispered, my voice shaking with fear. The thought of losing him made me feel tight in my chest. Mongi looked down at me, and his strong face softened with love. He squeezed my hand and whispered back, "I promise you, Wui, I will come back. Nothing will keep me away." I tried to smile, but my heart was still heavy as I watched him ride away on his horse, the sound of hooves echoing in the distance. With Mongi gone, I felt a deep loneliness I had never felt before. Our hut, which used to be filled with laughter, now felt unbearably quiet. I missed the warmth of his embrace, the safety I felt when he was near. Each evening as the sun set, I would sit by the fire staring at the flames, remembering how Mongi used to sit beside me, telling me stories of his adventures. Days turned into weeks, and I tried to fill the silence with work. I woke up early each morning and went to the river to fetch water. The path was peaceful with tall trees and the sound of flowing water, but I still wished Mongi was beside me, teasing me like he used to. I worked hard in our small garden, pulling weeds, planting seeds, and watering the plants. I felt proud when I saw the crops growing, but my thoughts always drifted to Mongi. After tending the garden, I helped the other women in the village with their work, pounding maize, mending clothes, and cooking meals. Their laughter filled the air, but I still felt lonely. One day I received surprising news, a letter from my adopted younger brother, Nuta. The moment I saw my name on the parchment, my heart skipped a beat. I opened it with trembling hands and felt relief as I read his words. Nuta missed the quiet of the village and asked if he could come and stay with me for a while. The thought of having him around filled my heart with hope, and my loneliness faded a little. I quickly prepared our hut for Nuta's arrival. I cleaned and tidied, imagining the joy of having someone to talk to and share meals with. For the first time since Mongi left, I felt excited. When Nuta finally arrived, I hardly recognized him. The boy I once knew had grown into a handsome young man. As he approached with a warm smile, I felt pride and affection. But hugging him tightly also made me sad, because he reminded me of Mongi, who was still away. With Nuta by my side, my home filled with laughter and stories about the city. The days went by quickly and the nights became less frightening. However, as the weeks passed, I began to feel a change between us. Nuta was no longer the little boy I had cared for. He was a man now, and his gaze lingered on me in a way I hadn't expected. It made my heart race, but I wasn't ready to face those feelings. One hot afternoon, Nuta said his room's roof had started to leak. I was concerned and offered him a place in my own room, where it was dry and comfortable. He hesitated but accepted my offer. That night, when Nuta entered my room, something felt different. We tried to talk, but it was awkward, filled with unspoken words. I could hardly sleep, my mind racing. When our eyes met, something changed between us. Nuta moved closer, brushing against my arm. The warmth of his touch made my breath catch in my throat. I knew I shouldn't feel this way, but the pull between us was strong. Without thinking, I turned toward him, and our lips met in a soft, hesitant kiss. It was filled with everything we had kept hidden, and for a moment, it felt like the world outside vanished. It was just us. But hugging him tightly also made me sad because he reminded me of Mongi, who was still away. But as soon as the kiss ended, guilt and confusion washed over me. I couldn't believe I had crossed a line I promised never to cross. Nuta looked at me, his eyes filled with mixed emotions. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice trembling. I shook my head, tears in my eyes. "It's not your fault. I don't know what came over me." The days that followed were tense. We struggled to go about our daily lives, the weight of what had happened hanging over us. My heart felt heavy with every passing moment, tormented by my actions. Just when I thought I could keep the secret forever, a messenger arrived with urgent news. Mongi had been hurt in battle and was on his way back to the village. My heart sank at the thought of facing him and telling him the truth about my betrayal. The next morning, I stood anxiously at the village entrance, my heart racing at the sound of horses' hooves on the dirt road. When I saw Mongi, injured but alive, I ran to him and wrapped my arms around him, tears streaming down my face. Despite my guilt, I welcomed him home with all the love I could give. As the days went by, I dedicated myself to caring for him, tending to his wounds while holding back my tears. The memory of my betrayal haunted me. I knew I couldn't keep the truth from him forever, but how could I tell him when he was already suffering? One evening, I knew I had to confess. I sat beside Mongi, my hands trembling, and took a deep breath. "Mongi, there's something I need to tell you." His concern was clear as I shared the truth about my moment with Nuta. The pain and disbelief in his eyes broke my heart. For a long moment he was silent, and I feared I had lost him forever. Finally, he turned to me, sadness on his face. "I don't know if I can forgive you," he said softly, but I could sense that he still loved me. In the days that followed, we worked to rebuild our relationship step by step. We learned to communicate openly and cherish the love that had brought us together. Healing took time, but I was determined to earn back Mongi's trust. As the seasons changed and years passed, we found a new sense of peace and happiness. Our love had been tested but emerged stronger. I had been given a second chance to love Mongi with all my heart, promising never to take our bond for granted again. And so, hand in hand, we faced the future together, ready to overcome any challenge that came our way.